From the lush green lands to the cascading waterfalls, wonders of the world, the oldest habitat of territories on earth, a rich cultural heritage, a continent of 1.1 billion people, second largest and most populous, a continent pregnant with possibilities, home to 30% of Earth's mineral resources, 50% of its people under 25 years. Africa, the land of the great. Our spirit resilient. Our enterprise profitable. Our future inspiring. Africa is inspiring. Be inspired.
Assalamu alaikum. Today I'd like to discuss an issue that is very common in the Muslim society along with other societies. It's the question of domestic abuse and domestic violence and the response Islamic scholars have given based on the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah for resolving this problem. We'd also want to clarify some misconceptions related to domestic violence and some misinterpretations of the Quran that have made some people seem to justify violence in the name of Islam. Firstly, let us remember the Quran makes it very clear that the objectives of marriage, and among those things that a marriage is supposed to produce, is mawadda, love, wa rahma, and compassion, and sakina, and tranquility. And so long as these objectives are met, a family is good and healthy. Fortunately or unfortunately, disagreements arise as members of a family try to understand each other and negotiate a more peaceful relationship, a better win-win arrangement with each other. Different types of conflicts emanate, tempers rise, and there's the tendency for it to become violent. From an Islamic perspective, any type of disagreement should be treated with the adab of ikhtilaf, with the ethics of such disagreement, etiquettes. There should be good character. You should not allow the way you handle a disagreement to make you commit a sin or to hurt somebody in a way that creates a problem between you and your Creator. Ultimately, if all measures to reconcile have failed and members of the family union or the marriage are breaking their marital vows, are trampling on the rights of each other, what is called nushuz, whether by the man or the woman, then Sharia gives the option of divorce. The Prophet said, of all the things that Allah has allowed, divorce is something He hates. And so as much as possible we want to encourage marriage and discourage divorce. But sometimes divorce becomes inevitable. And the Quran makes it clear we either stay together in peace or we separate in kindness. So whether you're going to stay together or you are going to separate and have a divorce, it should be done in a way that respects good character and adab. When it comes to how to prevent divorce, various verses of the Quran and Hadith encourage us to consult each other, to do shura. Sometimes when you are having difficulties, the Quran advises you, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ ذِكْرٍ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who know more about an issue like marriage if you need advice. Or you could seek family arbitration where members of the family come to solve the problem if they are the best. But the key objective is to find ways of preventing divorce while maintaining fairness and justice in the relationship. In other words, it should not be peace where one person is oppressed. That's not sustainable. And it's not healthy for a home where children would grow. So, in one verse in the Quran, in chapter 3, verse 43, Allah recommends, among various options also, that you can separate beds. In other words, not sleep together or suspend sexual relations if that will make the concerned party take the relationship more serious and realize this is beyond talking. Another prescription is that you involve family members. A common misconception is when the verse of the Quran also prescribes وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ, and beat them. And some have understood this beating literally as being synonymous to abusive forms of beating. But if we want to understand the Quran, it is important we understand the Quran the way the Prophet Muhammad understood it and how he taught his companions. Of all the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the most respected when it came to the commentary of the Quran is Abdullah bin Abbas. And when somebody asked Abdullah bin Abbas, what does this verse mean when it says Daraba, to beat? Because there is the understanding that this verse is supposed to show you how to prevent divorce. And beating is actually a reason for divorce. So how can beating be part of the prescription for preventing divorce? What does it mean? And Ibn Abbas says, Darban Gaira Mubarri. It's beating that does not cause hurt, that is not severe. And he was asked, like what? And he said, it's like hitting somebody with a siwak, with a chewing stick, or something similar. Fakhruddin al-Razi said, another great scholar, said, you either use a chewing stick or you use a handkerchief or the side of your dress. Clearly, the understanding of the companions of the Prophet and the classical scholars was the beating in this verse was not meant to be a form of abuse, but just to awaken the other party to the fact that things are getting really bad and they must sit and resolve issues. For those who would want to go into the semantics of the possible alternative meanings of Daraba, it is easy to also understand what Daraba is by looking at what it is not. In Islamic jurisprudence, if you go and hit a woman who you find by the roadside, you are punished for that. Either under qisas, equitable retribution, or diya, you pay some compensation for the damage done or the hurt, or under ta'zir, where it is left to the discretion of the judge what would be an appropriate punishment to prevent the occurrence of that. Getting married to such a person does not deny her any of her rights. In other words, because you married the woman you beat last month and she took you to court and you had to pay a fine, getting married to her does not deny her any of her rights. On the contrary, as Imam Shafi'i says, if when you are married you beat, not just are you liable to be punishment, either with qisas or diya or ta'zir, but you can forfeit your right to actually be her protector. She has a right to have a divorce because you have been abusive. In other words, both from the study of Islamic law and the Quran and the understanding of the companions, there is no way the understanding of Daraba in this verse can be synonymous with an abusive type of relationship. We must remember the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And all the companions on numerous occasions will repeat, he never beat anyone. And so as the Quran encourages us, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that for you in the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the best example. Any Muslim who wants to be a better Muslim should emulate the Prophet ﷺ, and he never hit or beat. Even the daraba that doesn't cause hurt, he never did that. In other words, let us find alternative peaceful ways of resolving conflict and disagreement. And remember, the objectives are love and compassion and living in tranquility. And anything that will move in that direction should be encouraged. Anything that will create greater hurt, the Prophet said, La darar wala dirar. Don't cause hurt, nor should you reciprocate hurt. You should try and forgive and show love to those who hurt you. And for the community as a whole, when a person is hurting, when a person is being abused, your responsibility while you try to reconcile is not to force the woman or the man to stay in an abusive relationship. The Prophet said it is better to be alone than to be in bad company. But it is better to be in good company than to be alone. So it is our responsibility to stand for justice and fairness. It is up to the victim to choose to forgive if they want to, but not to force forgiveness, which is indirectly forcing a person to live with injustice in the name of religion. We should always make sure the options are open. If the relationship is too abusive and not achieving its objectives, then let them resolve it in a peaceful way, but never to become violent. Never do something that is contrary to the objectives of peace, love within the family. And Allah knows best.